Welcome to our session from concept to launch, how Smartsheet manages product development. My name is Electra Heldy. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Smartsheet, and I'm joined today by the exceptional Alyssa Pankala, senior global readiness manager. You can see her here. If we went one more slide in, we could see her on a slide too. And Alyssa's responsible for ensuring that every one of our worldwide field team has what they need to effectively represent Smartsheet. And that means, creating scalable training, documentation, and communication. Alyssa and I are both members of the product marketing team here at Smartsheet. And Alyssa joined the team around the same time that I did, loves bread and salted butter and wine as much as I do. So, we're basically kindred spirits. She recently revamped our internal product launch process. It's really helpful, really streamlined. I'm so excited for her to walk you through it. Thank you so much for joining today, Alyssa.
Hey, Electra, thanks for having me. And I mean, bread and wine is definitely a healthy snack, so we're okay.
Anytime. Before we jump in, I'll go ahead and pause here for a moment. So this session may contain some forward-looking statements, and any trademarks we may come across in the presentation are not endorsements. So what we're looking to do today is we want to help you understand how you can use our core capabilities and premium solutions to build a product development engine. You will see firsthand how we did that, how we combined all those pieces and steps to create that full workflow. And, if you have questions come up as we're going through, we do have a team standing by to answer those questions. So don't hesitate to throw that in the chat. So Alyssa, when you joined Smartsheet, our product development and launch process was way different. Talk me through what the product development lifecycle looked like then versus today.
Yeah, absolutely. So just 2 years ago, we were a much smaller team, almost like a little family in the product development department. Everyone knew what was going on with every feature, and it was a pretty stable, simple once-a-month release. Now you fast forward to today, we've doubled in size, we're almost 2,000 employees, and we're moving way faster, releasing much more at a time, and have also expanded the resources that we provide both our customers and our internal teams. So as we've grown, we've absolutely needed to scale our own processes using Smartsheet so we can keep up with the increased complexities.
So for today's session, let's pretend, Alyssa, that you're launching a new proofing capability. Walk us through at a high level how that functionality goes from an idea to a live feature. And from there, we can actually show them a real demo.
Yeah, absolutely. So the process for us begins with an intake form. Once an entry is submitted, it will then show on the product release roadmap. This is our source of truth where everything branches from. For product engineering and product marketing, we all contribute to this and rely on it. So as things are spinning off into a project plan for the product marketing managers, and product managers, we need to utilize something called Control Center to do that. And Control Center is our project and portfolio management solution, and it allows us to be able to deliver launch plans consistently and at scale. So this premium add-on is really impactful for those that are looking to best scale their projects and processes with best practices built in. And that's exactly what we needed to do as well, just because things are moving at such a fast pace.
For sure. And for those users who are less familiar with Control Center is really our premium add-on that's built to help you scale your process. It allows you to automatically create new Smartsheet assets if you need to, and link key information between those assets, essentially so a human doesn't have to do that, right? So in this instance, where we're looking at it today, we're automatically generating this product marketing launch plan when we need to, which is a sheet, and then we're creating a few data connections between that sheet and some of the source content. Some organizations may be doing something like that. Some organizations may need to actually spin up a net new project, right? And that project may have a lot of assets that are created. What I love about this example is that we're showing you a use of Control Center to automate a piece of a process versus, we're kicking off a new project and we need the project plan and we need the reports to show us what's at risk and we know that we need the dashboard. I feel like that's a piece that we talk about a lot more, but Control Center is really a flexible solution that can be used to automate any process needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we create a launch plan off of that. And this is where all that project management magic happens. All of our tasks related to the feature development and asset creation live in here.
Awesome. So Alyssa, so far across the top here, we've seen how product and product marketing interact with this process. But launching a new product, at least for us, is going to be meaningless if the field isn't up to speed on what that is, how it works, and who could benefit from it. Can you tell us a little bit about how we leverage some of these same assets for training?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, our release roadmap is that source of truth, has really important dates and information about our upcoming features that we're releasing. And that information is also relevant for other teams for planning purposes. And one of those is regarding training for our field. And it's a collaborative process that we take with other field enablement groups so we can determine the right level and depth of our training for releases. So the roadmap is restricted for access to many other teams outside of product development, but the way that I can still leverage those certain fields in order to plan with enablement is leveraging our data mesh premium product. So this allows me to be able to map fields from one sheet to another so we can still plan and prepare for a training agenda. And a little bit more on data mesh. It's a premium app, really valuable, has a ton of different uses. It's an easy way to be able to keep data consistent across multiple sheets and reports without worrying about those typos or duplicative data. And as a licensed user with admin or owner permissions on that sheet, you can create projects using data mesh. So using data mesh, we have a different sheet, and this is the product training sheet. And this is what we use amongst our enablement teams as our group's source of truth.
Awesome. So we've seen in theory how we've pieced together these different elements in Smartsheet. Can you show us the real deal?
I think I can do that.
Nice.
So let's jump in and show it in action.
All good things, all good processes start with a form.
100%. So we're starting with the form. Intake form is the best. It's a perfect place to start, works great for any program, process, or project, regardless of size. And in our form in particular, we're gathering the critical required info and we also utilize conditional logic when doing so. So conditional logic is really important here because not every product manager, I'm playing the role of a product manager right now, needs to provide the same information every time. So this is the best way to reduce the noise and ensure the most critical and relevant fields are completed for their entry. So let's show this conditional logic in action. So we're making that proofing feature, right? That's what we're going to be doing. Now you'll notice looking here that there's a number of fields down below feature name. We have environments, then it moves on to description, eligible plans, and so on and so forth. Now for environments, we're going to say this is going to be releasing in our commercial platform. When I click on that, you'll now notice 3 additional fields that populated because of my selection in environments: EAP, internal release date, and customer release date. Now let's say, oops, I actually don't need this in commercial. Rather, I need this in Smartsheet Gov. By removing commercial, those fields are gone. By selecting Smartsheet Gov, you'll notice that the Gov customer release date populates. So this is a way that you can see exactly why it's so great to be using conditional logic. Had I been a Smartsheet Gov and had all those commercial fields, I would have had to put NA or some obscure date to be able to continue populating the rest of the form. And that's just a really big time suck for a lot of people.
And
so
confusing also, right? Because if you don't
absolutely.
know the answer, you're like, well, now I have to go ask Alyssa what I should put in here.
Exactly. Just keep them focused on exactly what they need to provide so everybody else knows what they're doing downstream. So for time purposes, let's say I just perfectly filled out this form and I clicked the blue submit button at the bottom. So we're going to jump over now to the release roadmap where this will show. And I'm going to draw your eyes to the bottom, which is in purple. And this is the proofing feature that we just submitted in the form. Now you'll see the customer release date that we entered of December 31st. I promise you, we do not work on the holidays as much as we love our jobs and Smartsheet. One of the really cool features that we utilize in the release roadmap, because in reality, ours has much more rows and columns, is column formulas. So that is another way that we're able to make changes to other fields when something happens in a different one. So we're going to show that right now. I'm going to change this date from December 31st to January 1st. Right now, you can see December 20th. When I change this, it's going to populate to January 2021 for us. Perfect example of something that as a product manager, had we not been using formulas, I would have had to have remembered to go change that column as well.
And because it's a column formula, anytime you add a new row in, it's going to be carrying that formula through automatically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the nice thing about column formulas is no matter where the new row is added, the formula will still apply. A couple other things that we do using our roadmap is automation. We heavily use automation, which is right up here in the top left corner. So this is how we keep work moving forward. It automatically notifies users when assigned a feature. We automatically request updates if there are key fields that are left blank. And I use it to receive notifications when there's a new entry added or the customer release date field is changed. So we're going to move over to the next part in that launch process, which is for the launch plan. So I'm going to scroll a little bit here in the roadmap and bring your eyes to this checkbox. So this is the launch plan checkbox, and this is a hyperlink to the launch plan.
And that hyperlink gets added into this sheet by Control Center when you trigger a launch plan to be created, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. So when we built our program in Control Center, we set it up to store the link to the launch plan in the same row of the release roadmap. So it's easily accessible for anyone that is working on the launch assets for this feature. And Control Center really is the hero of this process for us, just because we need that consistency in all that we're doing for each of these features releasing, especially since we have so many moving parts and multiple stakeholders. And this would be immensely time consuming without it. And that's what we used to do, everything manually, but we quickly outgrew the efficiency of those manual changes and updated our process by integrating Control Center into the mix. All right, so let's get to that. Yeah, let's get to it. So the launch plan, has a lot of colors going on, lots of rows. At first glance, I want to just draw your eyes to the blue summary section. So this section is pulled in and populated directly through the Control Center program, and it's pulling in critical dates and owners from the release roadmap. So those dates and owners listed here in the blue are then populating our due dates and our task owners below in all of the subsequent rows. What's even better about this is if I, the product manager, change the date, say now to February in the roadmap, it will update the date here in this launch plan without me needing to do that and adjust all of the dates below as well. It's the thing I think that makes my heart happiest because there's a lot of risk to having people using the wrong dates and being misaligned. So this is just the best part about our use of the launch plan and keeping everybody on the same page. So at first glance, this is a huge task list, huge sheet, lots of things. But for us, it's more of a central hub for everything that we need to consider and complete across the company for a feature release. It's all here. Everybody can stay in the sheet instead of going elsewhere to find things. And I'm going to highlight a couple things that we utilize part of our core application capabilities. So let's move over here to help articles in the light purple row here. We collaborate with a number of other departments to see things through to completion. And one of those teams is our support team. They're the ones who take on creating and updating our help article content for you. And in order for them to do so, we have to tell them that there's a new feature that they need to take action on. So we've hyperlinked here in our launch plan their request form. And when clicking on that, it'll open a new tab and show us their intake form. So we're able to stay in our sheet, in our launch plan, but also still adhere to the processes that the support team take to complete creating that new help article content. Another one, which Electra loves,
not the very favorite part.
Not the prettiest of all, but it is super impactful, and that's attachments at the row. In this case here under planning docs, Electra is responsible for the messaging and positioning document. And attached at the row, as I click on that, is the template for this. So Electra is able to grab the template, make a copy, and start working on that document, all while she still has the launch plan open. So
it sounds silly, but like looking at there really just makes all the difference in the world, because it saves you the time of running around and trying to figure out where it lives. It saves you the heartache of like finding an old version that lives somewhere, version control issues are resolved. It's just so helpful. I'm sorry, Alyssa.
Exactly. That is exactly true. And we're using these two capabilities along with a handful of others in here, which you might be noticing for those of you that are well versed with Smartsheet. And this is just ways that we're able to keep multiple task owners and stakeholders on track and aligned. And I seriously love how everything is in one place and not feeling scattered across other areas. So we're all able to work within this process as well as other departments' business processes.
So we've covered kind of the product marketing, product team usage of this scenario. This is really a true cross-functional tool. There's all different types of teams that are leveraging the release roadmap. Can you talk to me a little bit about the people outside of our team who are using this resource and how?
Yeah. So I think I've stressed it plenty. This launch plan is extremely important, but equally as important is the planning and preparation for the field training. And we do that in parallel to what the product and product manager are doing here. So I collaborate with the different enablement teams so we can review the upcoming releases and decide on that proper level of training that's needed. And this isn't appropriate to do in this launch plan sheet or the release roadmap, nor do they have access to the release roadmap, but we still do need to leverage that data from it. So this is where data mesh comes in. And I can map the feature and feature name, additional dates, and other details for our enablement cohort to then plan in our own product training sheets. And I'm going to show you that right now. So we're going to first take a look at what mapping looks like when I've mentioned that word for data mesh. What's great about it is you can bring in specific columns and leave the rest of them alone. So right here for the release roadmap, I have where we're pulling from the roadmap and then putting them into the product planning sheet. What's also awesome about it is that you don't have to have the same column name. The mapping is what does that for you. So if you need to adjust any naming, you can. And that's very different from reports. And in this case, it's really perfect because our roadmap is more product and engineering language. And we want more enablement team language when we're planning in our training sheets. So you can see that with date field 2 and date field 7, they're slightly different between the source sheet and the target sheet naming. So what that looks like, all in all, is the sheet. So how I'm utilizing it is we're meshing in what you see in the gray columns. That's everything from the release roadmap. And then it has all of the data we need that we've selected. And then these are columns that we've added for each of our field departments. And we're able to annotate notes, make comments, and decide on the training for strategic accounts, our commercial sales team, and onward. So this is a way that shows you two different flows for ensuring a successful feature release all around. Both flows are leveraging that release roadmap as the one source of truth, but for totally different needs.
And from a best practices standpoint, I feel like we've covered a couple of them here. You know, we have everyone accessing the information that they need and not necessarily having access to or the ability to adjust information that they don't need. And we also have everyone leveraging that centralized source of truth, which is really what we want to see when we're creating a solution. We don't want to have a bunch of different iterations of the same thing. We want to get everybody collaborating in the same place with that same visibility.
Yep, absolutely.
Alyssa, thank you so much for walking us through this. Not only for walking us through this, but from me to you, thank you for architecting this solution, which keeps my day sane.
I always want to make sure that your life is made easier, Electra.
I so appreciate it. We do have a couple resources that are available for you guys. If you'd like to explore more, you can dig into our Engage Brain Boosts for additional activity-based learning. We have one both for Control Center and automation. And if you haven't already, please check out our community. This section that we're linking to here is a special area where we're asking to hear about what you're building in Smartsheet. We want to know. We want to know what you're building. We want to know how we can help. All of our templates in our Solution Center are based off of ideas that we hear from our customers, so let us know. Alyssa and I are going to jump into the QA for about 10 more minutes, so if you have additional questions, let us know. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.